Welcome back to Culture on Monocle 24. Now, Jim Lee has been taking photographs for 50 years. He's best known for his iconic fashion images from the 1960s and 70s when he worked with the likes of Yves Saint Laurent and Gianni Versace, not to mention photographing bands including the Beatles and the Rolling Stones. He did ads in the 80s, wonderful ones, and has refound the camera and, luckily for us, wanted to talk about his new book, an anthology of his work, on which he collaborated with his old mate, a magus of the style pages and arbiter of taste, Peter York.
To be absolutely honest with you, I really wanted to be a film director, which is probably not the best way to go about it by being a photographer, but it seemed a way at the time. So my luck broke when I went to Australia as a £10 pom and ended up, renting a room from a Dutch photographer who said, if you print my pictures at night, then we'll give you a room for nothing. And at that point, a room for nothing was, the money that I did have was better spent on food than it was on a room. So I got a room for nothing to print my pictures. And that's where my very early beginnings of photography started, although it was along the right route, if you know what I mean, in terms of getting to where I wanted to be, which was eventually making films. But it was the journey I got stuck in for many years and became a photographer slightly longer than I wanted to be.
And it obviously starts presumably with commissions for the big magazines. Did lots of work for Harper's as well.
Yeah, it started very slowly because the work I was doing wasn't really towing the line very much. It was kind of rather, I think probably one could say more rough and ready and artistic, and sort of me just, flinging myself at anything artistically to make it interesting. Therefore, I wasn't really focusing on a commercial career at that point, rather just trying to find something creative which would work. So after a while, I eventually climbed into a sort of a commercial way of photographing, and then
the book lands with a boom,
with a boom
like that on the studio desk. Yeah. Peter, obviously the words in the book are yours. It's a strange thing to have to describe your friend's work. I mean, how did you two meet? Maybe we should. We
met in the first instance through a great mutual friend who I'd been at school with. And then the thing that sort of put us together properly, I think, was Harper's and Queen, which was the 1970s version of the thing that is now called Bazaar.
Yeah.
And Harper's and Queen was going through a fantastic period in which it was, there are magazines which have the moment. The Face had the moment in the early 80s, etc. And Harper's and Queen absolutely had the moment because although it was a fashion magazine, it allowed people like me to write at great length in the late 70s about things that the readership was not interested in, which was wonderful. So I was indulged.
And so Jim was advance your vanity as well.
You could advance your vanity. It was completely wonderful because it was a flagship. It was the flash flagship of the group.